Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to MiM Monday. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga, and it's time to make Monday magical. Let's talk about the latest Disney news stories with you. On today's show, Rock and Roller Coaster song list kind of revealed, Big Thunder Mountain opening date and a new height requirement, and so much more. So thanks everybody for hanging out with me on this MIM Monday. I see you joining in the chat, and let's make this a conversation. Be sure to type your comments and your questions in the chat so we could talk about it. And if you're listening to this as a playback on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watching the playback on YouTube, thanks for watching. Hopefully you can join me next time, but also be sure to leave your comments and questions down below. So we got a quick show today, only a couple things to talk about, but each of these things are pretty interesting and pretty cool. So I'm excited to dive right in. So if you've been living under a rock, then maybe you don't know about the Muppets taking over Rock and Roller Coaster. That made me laugh way more than it probably should have. So the Muppets are taking over Rock and Roller Coaster over at Hollywood Studios, you know, the ride that used to feature Aerosmith. Well, excuse me. The Muppets are taking over, and they're bringing a whole new soundtrack. And the question has been, what songs are they going to sing? So we know that the new featured band at this attraction is the Muppets band, that is Electric Mayhem. And we know that it's going to follow a very similar storyline to the one that we had back with Aerosmith. That was that, you know, we're in a recording studio, we see the band recording, and then they're running late for a concert, I guess, and they have to go. I'm presuming that's the same storyline that's going to happen here. And so we follow in a super stretch limo. From the details that we've heard, that seems to be the same storyline. But we finally have some new news, and that is the song list. So they've only announced one song, but I have some thoughts on this. So they announced that one of the songs will be Song 2 from the band Blur. This song was released back in 1997. You know the song. It's the one that goes, woohoo, woohoo. Everyone knows that song. It's a very, very popular song, which is probably why it made it into the ride here. But I definitely have some thoughts about this. First of all, I want to know what you guys think in the chats or in the comments. Do you like this song choice for Rock and Roller Coaster? Now, mind you, that this is going to be Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem covering this song, so it won't be the original artist, which, fun fact, the singer for Blur is also the singer for the band The Gorillaz. I didn't know that till my brother told me that recently, but fun connection there. But this song, I don't know. It feels very like mainstream, like 90s rock mainstream, and it is, you know. And it makes me think, like, trying to figure out what direction they're going to go in. Are they going to stick with this genre? Like, are they going to do like other songs from this same genre, like maybe Breakfast at Tiffany's, that song from Deep Blue something, you know, that kind of thing? Or are they just going to do a whole bunch of different styles, right? So I don't know. I'm thinking maybe they're going to stick with a 90s theme, maybe do some Nirvana, right? Maybe some Metallica. I don't know. But I'm kind of hoping that they sneak an Aerosmith song in there just to kind of, you know, homage to the original attraction and you know, because it's a great song. I'm thinking maybe they keep Walk This Way. That'd be really great. I don't know. I think I was a little disappointed in this song. Not that it's not a great song. Of course, it's a great song. But I was thinking, you know, they went through all this trouble to get rid of Aerosmith and bring in the Muppets, you know, presumably because of licensing and the fact that they don't, you know, own Aerosmith and it's not, you know, their property. And so they bring in the Muppets. So you think, okay, Disney wants full control. They don't want to pay any licensing fees or anything like that. So they're just going to use Muppet songs, right? I was picturing all those really great Muppet songs like Moving Right Along or any of the songs from the Electric Mayhem TV show, and then they announced that they're covering Blur. It's I mean, we kind of knew already that they'd be covering some real rock songs, but then it makes me wonder why get rid of Aerosmith in the first place if you're still going to pay licensing deals for these songs. So maybe I'm overthinking it. I don't know. Let me know. What do you guys think? And what are your predictions for some other songs that could be on this new rock and roller coaster playlist? And do you think the Electric Mayhem will do these songs justice? I'll tell you, I'm a little late to the game, but I actually just finished watching the Electric Mayhem TV show on Disney Plus. I know it's like a couple years old now, but I'll be honest, it never really interested me. I've always liked the Muppets, but the Electric Mayhem for me were kind of like these side characters that never really grabbed me, so I never really watched the show. But after they announced the the ride theme and the fact that I'm probably going to Walt Disney World this summer to experience a new attraction, I was thinking, you know what? I really got to watch this show. And I'm glad I did, because it was actually really, really great. It was awesome. It was really funny, and a lot of great guest stars, a lot of great music, which is why I was thinking, you know what? We need some of these original songs. There's a couple original songs in that show that I think would be great for the ride. Maybe they'll slip them in there somewhere. Let's see, down in the chat, it does feel very similar to Aerosmith. Yeah, right? It's just another licensing deal, except they're going to be licensing several other songs, right? Also down in the chat, might be a little of everything, similar to Guardians, which I think is, I think this is a good song. Yeah, it's not a bad song. I can kind of picture it like right at the launch, right? Have the drum intro, that and then they have the countdown, and then right when we go, woohoo, is when you launch, right? It could be really fun. I think it could be really fun. But, I'm wondering, maybe a little bit of everything, right? Maybe they'll dive into some newer rock songs, maybe some pop songs, right? I remember a while ago there was that rumor that they were going to replace Aerosmith with a Disney, Radio Disney kind of playlist, and it was going to be like Hannah Montana and the Jonas Brothers and all that stuff. So it makes me wonder if they're going to dip into that well at all for any of these songs, maybe do like a Jonas Brothers song or something. I don't know. I mean, you'd think that they'd want to pay the least amount of royalties, right? But with this song, again, I might just be grasping, but choosing the Blur song as the first song they announced, it kind of made me think: are they just looking at the back of a Guitar Hero video game and just like picking songs from that, because it's kind of a glaringly obvious one. I used to be in a cover band, as most musicians are at some point. And we used to cover a lot of 90s cover songs. And there were even some songs that us as a 90s cover band were like, no, that's a little too on the nose. That's a little too obvious. And I feel like this was one of them. So I don't know. There's a lot of really great songs out there. I mentioned earlier Breakfast at Tiffany's, kind of jokingly, but that's a really good song. So I don't know. Maybe something like that. Maybe like Closing Time, right? That could be a cool song. Anyways, let's see, down in the chat, I was thinking it was going to be Muppets themed. Yeah. So Dr. Teeth is going to be covering, Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem are going to be covering these songs. So it'll be their voices singing them. I don't know. They've only announced one song. So we're just going to have to wait and see what all the other songs are going to be. But over at a special, what is it called? Oh my goodness, my brain is just not braining. They had a media preview. There you go. Thank you. They had some media over, and they were not previewing the actual ride, but looking at some things for the ride. And they showed these media. I guess it's called a media event. There we go. There's a media event in New York City, and they were showing some of the posters that you're going to be able to see in the attraction queue. And there's several of them, each keying off of a different member of the band. So there's one that says "The Doctor Will See You Now," and has a close-up look of like Dr. Teeth's face. And it says G-Force Record, the Electric Mayhem live in concert, one night only. Which I'm really glad they're keeping the G-Force Record logo and that name, G-Force Records. I think that's really cool. And then there's another one with Janice. It says like for sure, and it has her lips on it. There's another one with Zoot, and it says wait, what? And it has like a picture of a Converse wearing sunglasses. And then one of them says reporting for duty, which is a reference to Sergeant Floyd Pepper, and it has like his base on fire. These posters are pretty cool. Then there's, of course, the animal poster that says drums, 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 and it has his like arms with the drumsticks crossed. And then the one for lips has a picture of like some horns with like faces on them, and it says horns 24/7. And they look pretty cool. And of course, there's the full band poster, the Electric Mayhem poster. It says Rock and Roller Coaster, starring the Muppets, all rocking, all rolling, all new, with they whom are known as the Electric Mayhem, with special guests Miss Piggy, Kermit the Frog, the Great Gonzo, and more. So that's one thing for me when I was watching the show on Disney Plus. None of the other Muppets made an appearance, right? You didn't see Miss Piggy or Kermit or Gonzo or anybody else in the show. So when they announced this overlay for the attraction, I got a little nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, are we not going to have the rest of the Muppets? But clearly they're there. We've seen pictures of the pre-show where we have, Kermit and, Miss Piggy and other classic Muppets characters. They can't do a Muppet attraction without them. But of course, the stars of the show are going to be the Mayhem, the Electric Mayhem. So, anyways, I think it's going to be pretty cool. Let me know what you think. Are you excited for this new take on Rock and Roller Coaster? I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to be down in Disney World in July, so I'll check it out then. And of course, I will let you know my thoughts on it. I'm sure by then we'll have most of the playlist announced. And I'm just waiting for once they announce the whole thing for Disney to release on like Spotify and Apple Podcasts or Apple Music a playlist with all the actual recordings of Electric Mayhem doing all these songs. And I think that's going to be really awesome. If you've been listening to Mickey in Minutes for a few seasons now, you know that we've done several episodes about music, a couple of which featured a good friend of mine, Jake D. I think when they release the full track list of all these Muppet songs, I'm going to have to call up my buddy Jake and have him back on the podcast, and we're going to have to break down this list. So, I don't know. I got to let him know that he's on the hook for another episode. Let's see, down in the chat. I would be so cool if they replaced the Rock and Roller Coaster goes through with a giant animal face where you are going through his mouth. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah. So that's the other thing it says on here is that all the imagery, the street signs and LA imagery that you drive around and through on the attraction are going to be like Muppet-fied, right? So they're going to have a little bit of a Muppet twist. So that could be pretty interesting. I wonder what else they're going to do. Maybe some Muppets kind of hanging off of different things. I'm kind of picturing like how they did the Incredibles overlay over in California Adventure, and there were all these just like stills, these statues of the Incredibles, but you're going by so fast that doesn't really bother you that they're stills. So I'm thinking maybe something like that. So, anyways, let's move on to the next thing. From one roller coaster to another, let's talk about Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So obviously, Big Thunder is going to be opening super, super soon. And one thing that we noticed when they announced the reopening of this attraction and the official date and everything is that they lowered the height limit for Big Thunder Mountain. They lowered the height limit. So it was originally 40 inches. And it's been that way forever, since the attraction opened. And now, all of a sudden, they've changed it to 38. And it makes me wonder, how were they able to do that? So clearly they have some new ride vehicles. We've seen them testing, and they look different, right? And but I was just wondering if it's a lap bar that keeps you in the vehicle, which it has been forever. how could they change the height requirement, right? Because I heard another podcast kind of say the same thing, and I agree with it. A lap bar is only goes as low as the biggest legs in the ride vehicle, right? So if there's an adult, with larger legs sitting in the ride vehicle, and they pull the lap bar down, it's going to go that far down. And then somebody else next to you, a smaller person, it won't touch their legs, right? So I was trying to figure out how could they have changed this. So I'm wondering if they maybe changed this to maybe a seatbelt. Maybe it's going to be a seatbelt attraction. So I don't know if you guys remember way back in the day when Tower of Terror at Hollywood Studios used to be lap bars, and then one day it wasn't. It was seatbelts. And I'm wondering if they kind of gave the same treatment to Big Thunder, because I feel like seatbelts would be the only thing in my brain that could allow for a change in the height requirement, unless they change the track in some way. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they could have changed this. So let's see, down in the chat, 38 inches is pretty tiny. Yes, it is. Individual lap bars like Everest. Oh, yeah, that's another possibility. Maybe individual lap bars. Maybe each seat has their own lap bar. So that has to be it, right? It has to be something like that. Individual lap bars or seatbelts or something, because I'm doubting that they changed anything about the track or anything like that. So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. When that opens again. I'll be at Disney World soon, and I'll let you know what they did. So let's see, down in the chat, it'd be great if they do an AP preview for Big Thunder. Yeah, I agree. That would be really great. I hope for all the APs out there, you guys deserve a lot since you pay so much to go as often as you guys do. You guys deserve to get a few extras there. So a preview would be great. I know they didn't give AP previews for Buzz Lightyear, right? They just kind of started a soft opening. I know a lot of people were kind of annoyed about that, if I'm remembering correctly. So, there you go. An AP preview for Big Thunder would be great. If they do, and you do happen to go, let me know. Report back. Let me know what is the seating situation there. Is it the lap bar? Is it individual lap bars, or is it a seatbelt? How did they manage to lower the height requirement by 2 inches? So I don't know. Interesting story to me. Just something to make you wonder, right? So another story that caught my attention that's really exciting. If you've ever seen Disney Starlight, it's the new nighttime parade over at Walt Disney World. It premiered last year, and it's beautiful. I think it's really wonderful. I have a couple of critiques on it here and there, but overall, it's a beautiful, beautiful parade. But they made a big change to it. One of the floats got a huge, huge upgrade, and that is the Peter Pan float. So up until recently, Peter Pan and Wendy would kind of dance around on their float and hold hands and twirl each other and, all that kind of typical, Disney choreography kind of stuff on a float. But over them on this float has always been like a trail of like magic and pixie dust that kind of forms like what looks like an arm overhead. And a lot of people have speculated that was going to be to hoist them up so that they could fly. And it just wasn't working, and it hadn't worked. Well, people who speculated that were absolutely right. That's exactly what it is. And now they fly. I'm just picturing in my brain that scene from Star Wars. They fly now. They fly now. I know a lot of people don't like that movie, but it makes me laugh. So yeah, they fly now. Peter Pan and Wendy are now flying in Disney Starlight. And I've only seen pictures and videos, but boy, does it look magical. And I cannot wait to see this parade again and to see Peter Pan and Wendy fly. So this new upgrade premiered on the April 9th performance. And it looks fantastic, guys. So if you haven't seen this video or a video of this, go on YouTube, go on Instagram, and watch this because it is pure Disney magic. Not to mention that Peter Pan is my favorite animated film of all time. So, any more pixie dust that we can have, any more Disney magic that we can have is very, very much welcomed for me. So, one more story here. I told you this would be a short episode here. But do you remember a couple weeks ago, I guess it was, around, was it Easter? I think it was, or no, before Easter. It was beginning of April this happened, right? When the crows were attacking the Rapunzel in Tokyo. So they have that Tangled dark ride in Tokyo, Disney Sea. And they have an animatronic of Rapunzel. She's outside in her tower and she's singing, and it's beautiful. And these videos went viral of these crows attacking her hair, right? They were pulling out her hair and all that stuff. It was April 1st, right? That's what it was. 'Cause I remember seeing that and thinking this has got to be like AI, like an April Fool's Day prank or something. It wasn't. It was real. It really did happen. Well, they've since fixed that. They've added some like crow deterrent, I guess. These things around there to keep the crows from landing on her head. They're very subtle. You can't really notice them. And they fixed her hair, and it looks nice. Well, the crows are back, but they're not attacking Rapunzel now. Now they're attacking Maximus, another outdoor animatronic with hair. Obviously, the horse Maximus has the tail and the mane. And again, these black crows are. I've seen pictures and videos of these black crows sitting on Maximus, pulling out his hair. So I don't know. Maybe Disney animatronics don't belong outside. Maybe they need to be inside, away from nature, right? Because, as they say in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. When these crows want to build their nest with animatronic hair, they will find a way. They will get to it. So, I wonder, what are they going to do now? Are they just going to fill this whole outdoor portion of the attraction with crow deterrent? Like, what's that going to even look like? So I guess they just didn't think of this ahead of time. But you live and you learn. I wonder if they're going to put any more outdoor animatronics with hair in any more attractions in the future, or if this is going to be a learning experience. I'm hoping to get out to Tokyo next year. That's the plan. For my wife and I's 10-year anniversary, we're trying to get out to Tokyo, and hopefully we get out there, and hopefully this attraction is not full of like bird traps and like weird things. Hopefully they are able to maintain the beauty of it that I've seen online. So yeah. Anyways, that's our show for today, guys. This has been a short but fun show. I mean, it is Mickey in Minutes after all. So thank you so much for joining me, for hanging out. We talked about Rock and Roller Coaster. We talked about Big Thunder, Peter Pan and Wendy, and of course this Tangled attraction being attacked by crows. So be sure to join me every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time, live on Instagram, to be a part of the conversation, as these wonderful people have been today here. And if you missed any portion of this episode, or you want to go back and listen to previous episodes, of course, follow and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. And check out all the great content. We have weekly content, and we also have the regular podcast coming out monthly. Just so much great things over here at Mickey in Minutes. But the best thing is being able to chat with you guys every single Monday. So thanks again for hanging out with me. I'm your host, Nick Lazaga. This is Mickey in Minutes, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, what's going on, everybody?